Well, hello everyone. If you have joined, we will be going live with our presentation in about 5 minutes' time. There's a countdown clock that we can see. I'm not entirely sure what others can see, but we have just about 5 minutes until we give the presentation. So for anyone who has questions, we will take questions. And during the presentation, if something comes up, we'll also give time to questions towards the end. So once we go live, I think the chat function will be enabled, so you will at that point be able to put in your questions. The good news for people, I suppose, is that I'm here with Priya today, and Priya is a former international student, so he knows exactly what it is like to be in your position right now, whatever stage of the application process you are in, whether you are still deciding, whether you've made your application, whether you're eagerly awaiting the opportunity to make your visa application and move to Ireland. Priya was there just a couple of years ago, and that's what we're going to be doing, is essentially, I suppose, sharing the kind of insights and talking you through the process and answering any questions that you may have over the next hour or so once we do kick off. We do have a short, I suppose, PowerPoint presentation, but really we want this to be an interactive session. So once it is possible to make your comments and utilize the chat function, we definitely want there to be that big aspect of today. And I think both Priya and I are pretty approachable, so we will be able to assist you. I have been working in the sector for, my goodness, 17 years when I start to think about it. Well, it'll be 17 years from, I guess, from this September, October, because back then universities in Ireland used to start a lot later. You actually used to start university life in October. We're now all at the beginning of September. So yeah, it used to be very different. Priya, what was for the school year for you in Nigeria? Did it run September to
Yes,
May?
yes, yes. It was just
Yeah,
from September to around July. Yeah, around then.
to
That's
July.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, you got hardly any holidays.
The thing is, okay, so the way the school, say for like secondary schools, the way it was sort of like broken down was broken down into three terms. So from September, that's the first term. You go all the way to like I think December, and then you start the second term from January to like about April. You get like a month, and then the third term starts after that, and then you finish that in like July. So that's typically like how the year was broken down.
Okay, okay. So in Ireland, it typically ran. You began in September, and then you had a midterm break for a week, usually
Mm,
around Halloween. So for anyone
mm,
watching, if you don't know, Halloween is the end of October, and then you had 2 week holiday for the Christmas period, and Christmas remains a really important holiday in Ireland.
mm,
And then you went kind of got midterm break you went back in January, midterm break in February, and then Easter, the big Easter celebrations, which would be March or February because they change. And then you generally in primary school you had to stay until the end of June, but in
mm.
secondary school and high school you finished in May. So you had 3 long summer months to enjoy.
Wow.
I wish I still had that prayer. I wish that was still.
Wouldn't it be so nice? Like, I think that was how it was very sort of like surprising. Like when I did my first degree, it was kind of like that. Like you would get 3 months or so of just nothing, And at that point in time, like it seemed like, oh, I have so much things to do. Now I wish I had that much time.
So for anyone watching, what we're saying is make the most of your college opportunities, I suppose. And we're going to be talking about postgrad. They're all 1 year postgrad programs, so they are intense. But I think, Priya, there will be still some time for people to enjoy
Yes, yes, yes.
themselves.
There definitely is still some time to, obviously, like I think the most intense part of it probably will be like when you're working on like your projects and stuff. But I think from the beginning, maybe, towards like the December break, that's just sort of like trying to get you into the groove of it. So
Hmm.
things might not be, but it depends. Like I think it still depends on the course as well that you do.
Yes, absolutely. See, this is insights from Priya. So we have now hit 2 o'clock. I think the live chat function is working. So if you
Yes, this
have
is 30 seconds to go.
Oh, yes, I see somebody's commented there. Hello.
Oh,
Yes, please do use the live chat function. This is what it's all about. If you have questions, if you have comments, Bray and I are here to endeavor to assist you today,
mhm.
at whatever stage of the application process that you are in. We mightn't be able to answer like really specific application questions, like to your own applications, but we'll do the best we can. But certainly, if you have general questions or questions about, life at DCU or life as an international student in Dublin and in Ireland, please do get them in. We will be drawing on, my experience of working in the sector and Priya's experience of being an international student and now living and working in Dublin. So, um, delighted to have the opportunity to chat to people today. So maybe without further ado, we can go on into the presentation. And Priya, if you can keep an eye on the live chat, and if things pop up, because as I said,
Definitely.
all I am going to get to see now is
Just
the presentation. So we will see how this goes. So where is it? It doesn't want to give me the option of course now. So hang on. The joy of live events, everyone.
yes.
I will so I'm going to window, but it's not giving me this.
No? Can I try from my side?
Let me see if that made any. What I might do is I might close it, reopen it, and in the interim, Bray, why don't you
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about what you studied at
I
DCU?
just see. Sure, sure. So as Colum said, I'm a former student of DCU. I came here to study the masters in emerging media. So I've had, sort of like a passion for media, and I was just sort of like seeking out a course that could, you know, I guess equip me with some of the practical, yeah, there we go, with some of the practical aspects of media, and the emerging media course just spoke to everything that I was looking for at the time.
And you're a recent grad, Bray. When did you study at DCU?
So I started studying at DCU in 2019 and I finished in 2020. So I had I guess, yeah, the opportunity to get a sense of what campus life was like just before the pandemic. And I also got the experience of how it was like during the pandemic, I guess, we were sort of
Yeah,
like pioneers.
yeah. So you have both, and now living and working in Dublin on the stay back option that is
Yes,
available to
yes,
international students.
yes, yes.
So that's a little bit on Pre. As for me, for those of you who don't know me, I am Colum Cronin. I am the Senior International Officer here at Dublin City University. I have been fortunate to study and work at a number of Irish institutions: University College Cork, the Cork Institute of Technology, Trinity College Dublin, and now very happy and proud to be working at DCU. I also spent a year working in Ireland's immigration office, which offered me kind of insights, I suppose, into how they think. And I'm delighted to be at DCU. I think it's a really wonderful institution. And today, Priya and I suppose, are going to go through some tips for international students. Priya is going to talk about his own experiences. And again, we want to hear from you. Let us know about any of the questions that you may have, anything you would like more information about. So I suppose, Priya, obviously it's we're talking about studying, we're talking about education. So academics is the first thing we are going to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And can you talk to me, Priya, a little bit about your experience with moving to Ireland, and what was it like for you to get used to the methods of teaching? Was it different from what you
Mm-hmm.
expected, or can you talk a little bit about how you as well chose the particular course that you wanted to undertake?
Thank you so much, Colin. So yes, as I said, I did my undergraduate degree in mass communication, and I did this in the UK. So, w- like when I was looking for a master's course, like after I finished my undergrad degree, I worked for about 3 years in the communication sector. And I think that sort of like gave me a clearer idea as to like what I wanted to pursue in my master's. So I wanted to go a bit away from the journalism aspect of media and focus a lot more on like the practical aspects, say things like animation, things like video making or audio engineering. And I was looking for a course that sort of like had majority of those things. So as soon as I started to search, I stumbled on DCU and I found the MSc in Emerging Media, and it just seemed like it was designed for me because it was like majorly like all the things I was looking for all wrapped up in one. And that was like at that point it was just a no-brainer for me to select it. And I guess acclimatizing to the system, it's not so different from the UK in certain aspects. So I didn't really like need to go through. I feel like everyone is like taught in English or something can like easily acclimatize. The lecturers are understanding enough to explain things as well as possible, and they're very very approachable. So even if you do not understand something that was taught like in the lectures, you could always go to them. I always took advantage of those opportunities. If I had a question or I had something that wasn't like clear to me, I always like made it a point to always seek clarifications from the lecturers. And that's one, I guess, advice that I would give to others like planning to come study here at DC. Just take advantage of, having access to your lecturers and ask them as many questions as you can.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And I think what I took away from what you were saying, Priya, is you kind of really thought about what it was that you wanted to do. And then you went and you researched about courses that were going to be a good fit for you.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
I think that's what's really important. And I think that this week offers students that opportunity to hear directly from academics about their particular course, to
Mm,
talk to the program chairs, and to do their research into what the course is all about, and maybe learn about the ethos of the course, the ethos of DCU, and see if it's the right fit for you.
yes.
Because it needs to be the right fit for a student. There are wonderful opportunities available to you, but it has to be the right place for
Mm,
you to
mm,
go. So I think taking advantage as well of the fact that now you can do the research into it. We are no longer just reliant on a hard copy prospectus.
yes, yes.
There's so much information out there. you
Okay.
can you can go onto the website, you can check out social media, you can get in touch with former students and different members of the alumni community to
Definitely.
hear about DCU. So I think, yeah, that's really good solid advice on that side of things. And then I suppose, look, people that are watching this are going to be at different stages of the application cycle. Some of you will have applied already and may already have your offer. Some of you may be awaiting, a decision on your application, and some of you may not yet have made an application.
Mm,
Um, But I suppose in terms of your journey, Priya, can you talk to us a little bit about, what it was like for you? How did you go about making that application? We're only talking a few years ago from when you
Yes,
were
yes.
in this same position.
Exactly. I think pretty much like the application guidelines were very straightforward. I think I needed to write a personal statement. I needed to compile my CV and also get references. So I guess knowing exactly what it is that I wanted to study, like I said, it seemed like the course was just sort of like designed for me. It would, I guess, like equip me with all the skills that I was looking for. So pretty much it was just like understanding, okay, how do I like write the personal statement in a way that I would, be accepted for the course. And I just put down like all the things that I was hoping to gain through the course and how the course was going to help me. And I compiled my application, and within like about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I got a decision on my application.
Hmm.
And today.
There you go. I think what's important there is it's not there's steps to the process, but
Definitely.
it's not a difficult process.
Mhm,
Some
mhm,
people watching this may be working with agents, some may not. But whatever your approach, there is plenty of help and support along the way.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
think,
mhm.
Priya, from what you're saying, I think when it comes to your statement of purpose, it's really important to make that specific
Mm,
to the
mm,
course,
mm, mm,
specific to
mm.
the institution.
Yes.
Occasionally, as I said, I'm in the sector 17 years. I have seen students use generic statements of purpose or get the name of the institution wrong or the course wrong. And
Yeah, yes.
really,
Yeah.
so make sure you do not do that. I
Mhm,
think also what you want to look at is the English language requirements there are two types, right? There is the English language requirement for the university, and
mhm,
there
mhm,
can be
mhm,
an English language requirement for visa.
mhm,
So depending on where you're coming from and what you've studied and how you studied previously, maybe you have studied through English, and the university, if you can show that, the university might be prepared to waive the English language requirement. But the visa piece that we'll talk about later on, and we will talk about in more detail closer to the application, um, that might not be. So it's really important. Look at the English language requirement for TCU. We now accept, like we have continued to accept Duolingo, which I think is a great move on the university's part because you're when it was only IELTS, essentially, it made it much more difficult. So just something to bear in mind around that. And keep an eye on your emails. I think that's the last point there because the offer may come through and you have a deadline at which to accept that offer. So I think that's really, really important. Priya, is there anything else you wanted to add there? Or will we move on to the next point?
Yeah, yeah. I think we can move on. Like you've hit on majority of all the points that needs to be.
Sure. So the next piece, funding. So this is obviously considering, the understanding, what the costs are, and I think when it comes to scholarships, recognizing that scholarships might be a nice bonus, but you can't be reliant on scholarships. But Pray, just to talk to you about your experiences, like what were the steps you took in terms of ensuring that you knew what the cost of living was going to be, and how you went about. Did you get a part-time job, or what did you
Mm,
do?
mm. Yeah, so for me, I guess, trying to understand like the cost of living, obviously, having, I guess, some experience living abroad, I sort of already kind of knew what to expect, in a way. But I understood that, Ireland was a different place and the costs could be different. So first place that I went to, get information about like the cost of living was from the website. I saw like there was this article that talked about like the cost of living in Dublin and how much the rent would be, and sort of like what you might be spending for upkeep depending on what it is that you want. And then I started to try to find, more like I guess like lived experiences of people within Ireland, like students from my side. I remember watching like a ton of YouTube videos of students here in Ireland, talking about like, okay, this is where you could go to get certain things. Obviously, like as an African myself, I would need certain like ingredients and stuff to make the food that I already eat. So, just knowing that those things were available just made it a bit more comfortable for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think those like it's just searching, doing some research, finding like videos, looking for like articles that just explain those things and making a plan before you come. I see that there are some like questions in the chat box. We will get to those questions at the end of the session.
Perfect. I suppose what I would take from that, Priya, is planning is really important, and knowing the baseline, right? Everyone lives a little differently. People have different kind of wants. Some people like to cook at home, and the
Mm,
nice thing about Dublin now is you can get ingredients from all over the world. So
mm,
whichever part of the world you're coming from, there will be grocery stores available to you where you can get the ingredients that you want. But some people like to go out to eat. Some people like to go out to enjoy Dublin's nightlife. So be aware. Budgeting is important. Making sure that what your costs and your income are. In terms of part-time work, to be aware that international
mm.
students can work part-time in Ireland. You can work 20 hours a week while you're studying, but I would not be encouraging anyone to work part time, those full 20 hours when you first arrive. You need to get used to a
Get
new
used to it. Yes,
country, new
exactly.
continent, make friends, get used to a new way of learning. It takes time to settle in. Pray
Yeah,
for you.
that was
Yeah,
exactly what it was.
how
Excuse me.
long did it take to really find your feet in Dublin?
Sorry, I'm Colin. I think now he's trying to say something.
Yeah, sorry, Colin. I've just joined just for one moment. Apologies. I just noticed the slides weren't moving along with you speaking, but now I can see that you have jumped to slide 8, which is
Aha.
top tip number 3 in funding. So I just wanted to
Um,
come on to let you know.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
the
I
slide is
think the
not.
reason that may be if you go back and when you're sharing, select share entire screen, it should work then. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that,
Okay.
Niall.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. So let me see if we can get this to work. This is interesting. Hang on now. Let me see if this
Okay.
is
So,
that what
yeah.
you are seeing now?
Yes. So we can see your cursor move as well.
We can.
Yeah,
Are
it's
you
changing. Yes, this is changing.
okay?
Yeah, that's moving now, Colin. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the heads up on that, Niall.
No problem at all.
So
Yes.
pray,
So about
talk to
the
us.
part-time work, yes, I did. I realized that yes, I had the option, but as Column said, I chose to take the option of trying to get acclimatized to the new place. So for the first semester, I didn't work at all. I know like not that many, like not every student will have the luxury of doing that kind of thing, but I'm the kind of person that likes to understand the area that I am in. Try to like network and just to get a sense of the place I am. So that was the option I took. I think I didn't start working until towards the end of my second semester.
Hmm. And it will be different from other for other people. And I think what's important is you are coming to Dublin to study primarily and to get your qualification, but
Mm,
our career service will work with you. They will help you to refine your CV or your resume. They'll work with you on cover letters. They'll teach you about workplace culture in Ireland. So there will be a lot of help and support that
mm,
will be available to you along the way. So hopefully it is moving along now. So in terms of student life, and DCU was named Ireland's University of the Year for 2021. But again, I suppose this is about all of the things that are available to you, but essentially, making the most of those opportunities. And talk to us about your experience, Priya. Like, what was it like for you? Did you get involved in clubs and societies, or how did you get to know people after arriving in Dublin?
Yes. Yes, I definitely tried to get involved. I think that was one of the things that I was trying to, I guess, correct from my first degree, because I focused like so much on the academic side that I, sort of like lost track of the social aspect. And this time I decided to get involved as much as possible. So I joined like so many different clubs and societies, and that sort of like took, it helped to ease some of the stress of the academics. Obviously, I know with like looming deadlines, sometimes it might just feel like, oh, I don't have the time to, go for clubs and societies. But I would encourage you to do it, because you get to meet so many different people, and I cannot stress like how important networking with people is, especially here. So just taking some time out of your day at the end of like a busy day to just unwind. I remember always going to the game society, playing board games with people and just having like a good laugh. It sort of like eased some of the tension while we had the opportunity to do it on campus. So I would say to you, just get involved. There are so many different clubs and societies here at DCU that you would find your interest and you'd find your niche.
Yeah, I know. I think that's really good advice. There's a saying when you're working that you can't be good at your job if your job is all you do. And I think that
Mm,
equally applies to study. You need to have some other interest. So maybe that's sports. And for those of you watching, if you're very involved in sport, DCU has fantastic sports facilities. So you'll be
mm,
able to do that. You could try new sports. We have plenty of Irish sports, Gaelic football, hurling. Maybe you want to try those. And we know that our international students this year got the opportunity to do that. But tennis, badminton, swimming, soccer, all of those are options to you. But I think there are 150 or
yes,
thereabouts
yes.
societies.
150 clubs and societies at DCU.
Yeah, so whatever your interests are, you can also get involved in volunteering. So there are lots of different things, and I definitely would say that having interests outside of just studying is really important. You can't just spend your life in the library. So it's a great way to get to know people. It's a great way to get to know Dublin and Ireland, like the hiking society.
Mm,
It's a wonderful opportunity to really get out and see
yes,
the beauty of Ireland, because
seriously.
Ireland is more than just Dublin. Dublin's a great city, but I would definitely
Yeah.
say there is more to Ireland than just Dublin. Priya, have you had the opportunity to travel much?
Yes. I tried. Obviously, with the pandemic and everything, it took away some of the plans. But as soon as things started to open up, I know the whole of last year, I really tried to get out as much as possible. I visited Sligo, went to couple of places in Connemara. There's so much to explore. Ireland is so beautiful, and I have not even like scratched the surface at this point, and I'm itching to go out again as well.
We'll get you down to Cork at some point, Priya, for definite.
Looking forward to that.
So I suppose then, kind of as we draw towards the end of the presentation, because we do want time for discussion and your questions in terms of the future. Why you're coming to study for a reason in terms of what you do afterwards with your qualification, with your masters, and so for a lot of people that will be employment. For some people, they may choose to go on to do further study. Priya, can you talk us about a little bit about your experiences, and what is the third level graduate program?
So the third level graduate program is like, which is what I'm currently on now. It gives, students who complete a master's degree 2 years to stay in Ireland, to stay back in Ireland and work, with the hope of, getting full-time employment that will probably sponsor your visa. If you complete, so once you complete a postgraduate degree, you have the option to reapply for your stamp 1G for 2 more years. And that will give you enough time. I think to speak about, employment and further studies. If you're, I think one advice that I give, is for students, planning to work here in Ireland, like after their studies, I'd say you should get involved as quickly as possible and try to take advantage of the career services on campus. They are there to help you. They run CV clinics, they run mock interviews as well. So, you have like all the, I guess, like facilities and resources to be able to get the job. They also, we like a lot of faculties also organize like fairs and those kind of things that you could get involved in, and also use LinkedIn. Like try to make your profile as up to date as possible, because like you get like a lot of recruiters who are sort of like scouting to look for people, and if your profile is good, you probably would get some scouts looking for you as well.
I think that's really good, and that's something people can do even before they come to Ireland. Is they can update their LinkedIn profile, make sure that you have a professional profile photo up there, that your work experience is up to date, and that it would be very attractive to employers. I think also, again, look for who are the industry leaders in Ireland and around the globe. Now, that doesn't mean that you send, 200 invitations immediately this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
You do your research, and have a look, and then you can follow certain industry leaders and see, what are the trends in that industry. But it is a really powerful tool if you use it in the right way. But again, if you just add loads of people, or you send loads and loads of kind of unsolicited messages to people, they're going to wonder why you are doing this. But as Priya said, there will be so many opportunities. There are careers fairs, and pre-COVID, and hopefully we'll get back there now as we move into the next phase. Companies were doing open days where they were inviting students to come in to spend the day. Google were doing this, Facebook were doing this, all the big tech companies. It was allowing you to get to know the company, but also them to get to know you. And as Priya said, utilizing the career service is really important, and that 2-year stay back really gives you the opportunity to work and to potentially move on then to get a work permit, and get permanent residency if that is something that you are looking to do. So I suppose then just kind of moving on in terms of, for those of you who have made an application, who have gotten an offer, who will be coming to join us, or those of you who are waiting and hopefully will get your offer, there's going to be, I suppose, lots of different supports available over the course of the summer. So it's not like we're just presenting to you today and that's going to be it. Just in exactly a month's time, we're going to be doing a webinar about the accommodation options at DCU. So those on-campus accommodation options and how you can apply for those. The week after that, then we'll be talking about making a visa application, because for many people watching this, you would have to get a visa prior to coming to Ireland. So we'll talk about what's involved in that process. And then over the summer months in June, July, and August, we will get you ready for life at DCU. So a current student panel talking about their experiences, off-campus accommodation, what are the student supports, what to expect when you arrive in Dublin, and what the registration and orientation processes look like. So you can see there's a series of webinars. If there's something that we have missed, you can get in touch and we can maybe add that in. But also, Priya and I will be around over the summer months. Our colleagues Bridget and Patrick and May and Zhaozha in China, and Justine in India, and Akanksha will all be around as well. So there will be lots of help and support available to you. And Priya, there's also a student survey. Do you want to tell students a little bit about that?
Yes. So this survey is, to be able to help inform like other students, seeking out DCU. It's like trying to understand like how we can, help to serve you better. So we'll be sending this survey out to you later this week, say maybe by tomorrow, for you to fill it out. It'll only take like a couple of minutes, and it's just to, I guess, like get information about like your own experience, I guess, going through the application process or your interactions with DCU.
To help improve the experience for everyone. So that's why that
Definitely.
we're doing that. We will set aside some time now for questions, but if you're looking for more information, you can find it there. You can see the website, international.office@dcu.ie, and follow us across our various social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we talked about LinkedIn. Set up your LinkedIn and check us out. And we are very active across all of those platforms.
Mm.
With that, a little bit of Irish there, Gurav Magut, which means thank you. And that is the end. We definitely didn't want it to be entirely PowerPoint. So I think probably what we can look to do now is to kind of take some of the questions that you may have had that came in, and we can look to answer some of those. I think Colette has been doing a great job in terms of going through them. Priya, one thing there in terms of paying fees. How did you go about paying your fees? Because I know some
Um,
people have asked about the way in which you can do that.
yeah, so I think I made my own fee payments using the bank transfer option. So it was just a matter of taking the fees to the bank and I guess raising up like a payment order and sending the fees through. So the information for the bank accounts are all on the website. We could link that here for you
Mm-hmm.
if you have any
And
questions about that.
TransferMate is another option that is available to students. So that might be, it's definitely worth looking into TransferMate to see if that is a better option. I mean, different banks have different charges, I suppose,
Mm,
for
mm,
international transfers. So have a look, TransferMate. I think the most important thing when it comes to also transferring money is going to be ensuring that you quote your student number so that we know where the money is
yeah,
coming from. Okay, so that's going to be really, really important that you do that if you are transferring money. Make sure that you quote your student number. Priya, in terms of accommodation and finding student accommodation, can you
mhm,
talk a little bit about your experience of how you went about finding the accommodation in Dublin?
yeah. So obviously, by the time I got here to Dublin, like a lot of people said a lot of things about, oh, it would be so difficult to get accommodation, and I do agree to an extent that it is difficult for some people. But my own experience was like very straightforward. So when I got here in Dublin, I got here like a bit late in October, but I knew I wanted to stay off campus. So what I did was I went to the accommodations office and I asked them if they had like any resources for off campus accommodations, like where I could get some of those. And they pointed me to the digs listing that is compiled by the Students' Union. It's sort of like a list of landlords around DCU campus that have spare rooms. And I just went through that list, called like a bunch of them, and I was able to get somewhere that was just like 15 minutes away that wasn't too expensive. So I think, as with everything else, like it's just to be like as proactive as possible and try to find like the information and just act on it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so I suppose it comes down to DCU sets a number of beds aside for on-campus accommodation, and we're going to be having the webinar on that in a month's time. You can also get in touch with campus residences. Campus.residences@dcu.ie is the email address for the on-campus accommodation team. Some students, as Priya said, some students know that they don't want to live on campus. They want to find something off campus. Maybe that's an apartment. Maybe that's a host family. That's another option for a lot of people. that they want to have the opportunity to stay with an Irish family and experience that. One thing, unless you are booking through a recognized, so it's DCU on campus or Airbnb or one of the purpose-built student accommodations, do not transfer money before getting to Ireland and seeing a place, okay? You might see something, it seems like a great offer. Do not transfer money. We'll talk more about that over the summer, but sometimes you might join a group that says, Dublin Students 2022 on Facebook, and somebody reaches out to you and says, hey, I have an apartment, and it seems like a great deal. But just be very wary of that, because unfortunately, like everywhere else in the world, there are scammers. We are very fortunate that crime is very low, and Ireland is a very safe place. But there are online scammers, so just be aware of that. I suppose then in terms of I see there's a question around English language requirements. So there is time to you could submit an application without English language proficiency, and you might get a conditional offer. You have to meet those conditions for there is some time, but I think the important thing around that is going to be recognizing when you're going to have to make your visa application. So DCU does have pre-sessional English language courses available, 5 weeks or 10 weeks. So if you think that you're not going to make the English language level required, pre-session is a way to do it rather than missing it and having to postpone for a year. So just bear that one in mind, that realistically visa applications open on the 1st of May. So that's kind of a soft deadline, I suppose, for the English language requirements in terms of that. So I'm trying to see. So what else might be? Is there anything else that's jumping out at you, Priya, that you wanted to address at this point?
Someone wanted to know about like the sports facilities, if it's open to international students, and if there are any extra charges to use them.
So what did you I think Colette was very kind and answered that. So I think there is an annual membership fee if you want to use the gym, the pool, and take advantage of the classes. So there is a fee for that. Now, if you're joining a club or a society that uses the sports facilities, there may be a charge for the club or society, but you might not necessarily it's not like you're going to have to pay that time and time again. So they're depending on what people want to do, but Colette has done that. I know that there was a specific question around kind of for somebody coming to Ireland as the spouse and stamp 3. You can get in touch with us on that. It's very much based on nationality and residency, so how long you have been in Ireland. It's not just simply based on nationality around that. So I know in terms of, and we'll cover this, so there's going to be a lot of questions around fee payments and visas. That is something we will cover in our webinar in that's about 5-6 weeks from now. So remember, we will be doing a series of webinars, and we will make the today's presentation available to you. I know obviously if the slides weren't going at the start, but we can certainly make that available to you. Priya, I suppose the other thing that might be worth talking about is, just in terms of like for you, just from a personal experience, because I know you studied in the UK, but just like what was it like, and then coming to Ireland, like what was it like to get used to a new country, because there are people
Yes,
there
that has
are
not been.
people here who will not have traveled previously. They'll have been in their home country. So for them, it can be quite daunting to be looking at a new country, a new continent. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, just leaving your home country and going to a new place is definitely very scary. But like, I think what could help to, I guess, like alleviate or help you to acclimatize like a lot better is doing like a lot of research. Depending on where you're coming from. If you're coming from like a warm region like I was, it's to try to prepare for the cold because it gets like really cold here and it also rains quite a lot as well, So it's knowing about those things. Like if you live in like a more temperate region, it's preparing like getting like warmer clothes that you could use here. And also like just doing like a lot of research, trying to, I guess, like get like the lead because like that was the thing that sort of like helped me to be a lot more comfortable. By the time I started to see other people that had gone through it and then, they were talking about their own experience, that sort of like just set my mind at ease as well, so you knew what to expect like just before you came. I think that would definitely help with the transition.
I think that's really useful. I know people have specific queries around scholarships. That's going to depend on your own application. Generally, you find out about the merit scholarship within a week, if not sooner, of getting your acceptance if you are accepted into it. So it's that's very much going to be a kind of a personal sort of thing. But I think in terms of what you were outlining, Pre, I think it's good to do your research, but again, like everything on the internet, verify the source because
True.
there are
True.
people who can put things out there and may not necessarily always be correct. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think knowing the fact, depending on where you're coming from, it might seem certainly cold in Ireland. So preparing, but again, we are fortunate that you're coming to a capital city, so there are going to
Mm.
be lots and lots of different options available to you in terms of purchasing what you need
Yes, you
when
need.
you come to Dublin, and plenty of kind of different shops at different price ranges.
Definitely.
So you don't have to shop. You can shop at either end of the spectrum, perhaps. I suppose the other thing, Priya, is just maybe in terms of one of the things that might be useful, like the without getting too far ahead of ourselves, but like moving on to the third level graduate scheme, to the stay back to allow you
Mm.
to
Mm.
work.
Mm.
You talk to us like what was involved in that process. You had to register when you came to Ireland with the immigration authorities, but when you wanted to move on to the third level graduate program, what was involved there?
Yeah, that process was like really straightforward. Like, there's no like extra thing that you have to do. Obviously, like every year that you are here in Ireland, you have to register with the immigration service. So to move on to the stamp 1G, all I needed to do was like immediately I finished my degree, I needed to get like a letter from the university saying that I was done with my degree. So once I had that statement, and since I'd already done the registration with them, I just sent in my GNIB, and that was it. So that process like is really straightforward. Like they outline like the processes very clearly for you. So once you've gotten the statement to confirm that you finished your degree, you just send that in through the online portal, and within a couple of weeks you'd get your stamp 1G.
I think my internet decided
Right.
to kick me out for a second there. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the fact that it is, such a streamlined process now is really useful. I know there's a query there. And we'll talk more about this in the visa webinar, but DCU doesn't provide fee receipts the fees office might be able to confirm that they've received. Again, this is where TransferMate can be really useful because it will acknowledge it, but you don't need a fee receipt in order to apply for your visa. You just use the receipt. So whether that's proof by TransferMate or whether that's proof of the bank transfer, you will be able to utilize that, I suppose, for your visa application. And the other thing that I suppose we're talking about, I suppose, doing your research, but I don't know if any of the students here will have seen it as yet. But there was a really great video that came out just at the end of last week, which kind of highlighted some of the places in and around DCU that students are able to go and visit and explore and take advantage of. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit in terms of, what are some of your favorite places in and around the DCU campus?
Okay. Yeah, I think one of my favorite places, like while I was still like a student on campus, was the U. I really enjoyed like just the space of just a place where students could just hang out, like I guess in between classes, like was just open and very colorful, just spoke so much to me. I really enjoyed that a lot. And I also sort of like loved like how open the Glasnevin campus was as well. Like there's so much space around there. I think those two places were like one of my favorites here on campus.
Yeah, I think having Albert College Park beside the university is
That's
amazing.
what it is.
And
It's
I
huge.
know that ever since getting my dog, that has definitely become a place that I venture to quite a few times. So
Yeah.
I think having that right beside is fantastic. And for anyone watching this from India, they have a cricket field in there, and I see people playing cricket in there on a Sunday. In terms of, I know there's some questions again around fee status. You can find it's not the recruitment office that makes that decision, and again, it comes down to nationality, but also where you residency, where you've been residing. I know there's a query there around does DCU offer an MBA? We don't offer a full-time MBA, and just on that, I suppose one of the things to consider is an MBA is really a capstone project. So it is after you've been working for a significant amount of time, and it allows you to move up to the next level, and maybe to the executive level. So if you are coming straight out of your undergrad degree and doing an MBA, people are going to be wondering why you're doing that. So we do have wonderful programs. We have MSc Business Management, MSc Business Strategy. There's also all sorts of other programs in the business school. And I think what's important as well is to recognize that this presentation day is part of the wider postgraduate week. I think Niall put it up earlier. So you are going to have the opportunity to hear from people, from academics, from students across the different faculties. So if you are interested in the learning more, now the executive MBA, just remember that is a part-time program, so it's not going to be available to international students with an immigration requirement, so just bear that in mind. But you will get to hear from all of the faculties this week. This is just part of it, so it's really, really important that you kind of recognize that and take advantage of being able to hear. And I know that if you can't make it due to time differences, they will be made available to you after this week. So there are a whole host of things going on over the course of this week. Priya, I suppose from your perspective, is there anything else that you would like to add at this point?
I think we've pretty much covered like majority of what we needed to say. But again, like it's just I guess down to you. Just do your research. Feel free to reach out to either myself or Colum, and we'll be open to answering any specific questions that you have. Like just take advantage of all the resources that you have at your disposal is what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think again, just kind of planning and looking ahead and being aware of the scholarship process at DCU is automatic. There's no extra box you have to tick. There's nothing. You're automatically assessed for the merit scholarship. But I think the other thing to highlight as well is the series of webinars, and I will look to try to put the dates of that or into the chat box. In terms of so you can see that and know what is coming up. The other thing I suppose is like in terms of living in Ireland's capital city. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? I know you got out and about to enjoy the sunshine at the weekend.
Yeah, we just got back from St. Patrick's weekend, and that was like really good. For I think the past 2 years they've not been able to host the parade, and this year we were able to see it, and it was so nice. Having the opportunity to see the different displays. It was so colorful, very vibrant. Like everyone was in a very good mood. Got the opportunity to go to a concert. Also did a hike of Phoenix Park, which is really, really gorgeous. I think my experience so far living here in Dublin has been wonderful. I think one thing that just sort of still blows my mind is the amount of well maintained parks that Dublin has. I think almost at around every corner I keep discovering a new park or a new place. There's just so many places for you to relax and enjoy the sun. So it's really been good for me.
Yeah, I think the ability of people to really enjoy this weekend and the sheer number of parks that you've highlighted and the various walks that you can do in
Definitely.
Dublin
Definitely.
as well. Now, I suppose you mentioned, and this came up earlier, in terms of the ability to get ingredients. If you want to cook food from home, are you able to get what you want from
Yes, yes. At this point, I think it's just my own imagination that is the limit. You can find ingredients for almost everything that I need to make. So it just makes it so easy. I don't, like yeah, all the ingredients that I need are just within town. There are shops that sell those specialty ingredients and materials that I need to make the food that I enjoy from back home. So it makes the transition a lot easier as well. And there's still so many I guess restaurants as well. You you have the opportunity to explore and try new foods as well here in Dublin.
And in terms of getting to know people, Brea, I suppose just for people watching, they might think, "Oh my goodness, I don't know anybody. Might be moving to a new
You,
country, a new continent." What was it like for you? Were you able to make friends quickly? Have you been able to hold on to those friends? Talk to us a little bit about that.
yes, yes, I have. I feel like from DCU alone, I've made some lifelong friends here already. I made some friends, from my course, many people that I still hang out with till today. I've become really close friends. So I think that's the starting point, the course that you are on, trying to get to know the people in your class and, hanging out with them a bit more. Also, I'd say, just trying to go out more. Like one thing that I tried to do at the beginning was I joined like some of these meetups. I got like really into like, I guess, street photography, and I joined a number of street photography meetups, and I was able to meet some people from that aspect as well. So it's just like finding your passion, and then finding, because there definitely would be like a group of people that have the same or similar passions as and it's just a matter of like putting yourself out there and trying to make the connection with them.
And Pre is being modest. He is a very talented photographer. It's not on the wall behind me, but just over to my right. If I was to be able to turn my camera, I actually have one of the photographs Pre took in Dublin hanging up on the wall there. So I suppose as we move right towards the end, Pre, and the kind of final, there will be an off-campus accommodation webinar. I know that's one of the questions that has come in there, and there is host family accommodation, there's shared accommodation, and we will talk about that over the summer. It's probably a little bit early to do that specifically now, because again, you're not going to be contacting people because they're not going to hold a place for you until you arrive in September.
Yes, yes.
We'll cover that in July, I promise. So there is the third level graduate scheme, the stay back. But Priya, I suppose we've got kind of 5 minutes left. So maybe in terms of, and there may be people who didn't get to join us at the very start, but in terms of, take me back to, a few years ago, and you're in this position. What are the things, you wish that you had known then, or what are the things that you think would be really beneficial? Are there maybe 3 things that you would say to people watching this, or people who may watch this on video within the next kind of couple of weeks, that you would say to them? We're coming towards the end of March. What are the things that they should be cognizant of?
Yeah. I think at this point, I think some of the things that I'd have loved to know before I got to Ireland was, okay, doing some research about like the accommodations. I think someone asked a question about like where I stayed before I got an off-campus accommodation. There definitely are like a host of hostels that you could stay that are a bit cheaper. For me, I chose to stay in an Airbnb for the first week before I got the place. So there are definitely like a lot of options. So I guess it's like knowing the options that are available. Another thing I would say is like getting involved. The point I made about LinkedIn and having your profile ready, trying to get involved with the career service, getting your CV in order. I think one thing that I learned was that many of the companies that I guess like do graduate employment, they open their applications for entries like as early as like October or September of the year. So if that's something that you want to do, it would be trying to be cognizant that many of those companies open their graduate schemes at those points, and then trying to make applications. The thing is, I'm saying this not because like you might get it immediately, but you'd start to gain a lot of experience. If you go for some of those interviews, it would start to prepare you for the road like ahead as well. You start to get like acclimatized to it as well. Those are some of the advices that I have for students.
I think that's really, really good advice at this point, Maria. And I know that there are some specific questions in chat that we haven't been able to address in terms of fee status. You really need to look into that, because it depends on a whole host of factors. So somebody is going to have to look into your case, nationality, residency. So you may want to get in touch with the fee status team in registry, or get in touch with international.office@dcu.ie, and they will be able to guide you on that. We hope this was useful, that it offered you kind of some insights into what it's like to study at DCU, why DCU could be a really good fit for you. I think the fact that Priya came in, did a master's, and is now working at the university and encouraging other students to come and study here is a testament to DCU and what we endeavour to do here. I would say I really take advantage of this week and the opportunity to hear directly from academics, directly from faculty members, and about those specific courses that you might be interested in. I really think you will learn a lot from that. And thanks to Niall and to Colette for their help today in terms of letting me know about the slides, because I had no clue, but also in terms of helping to answer some of the questions and posting links for students. Really, really appreciate that. That is really going to be it for today. As Priya said, please do get in touch with us if you have specific questions. Don't forget, we will be back in a month's time, exactly a month's time, on Thursday, the 21st of April, where we will be doing a webinar in conjunction with the accommodation team here at DCU, and they will be talking about on-campus accommodation. And then a week after that, we'll be talking about making your visa application. So lots more to come from the international office team, lots more to come over the course of this particular week from the different faculties. But just want to say thank you very much for joining Priya and I today, and we've loved interacting with you. It's been good fun, and hopefully you learned a lot.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining, guys.